p.m. here on the East Coast, 11:50 p.m. on the West Coast. Today is December 16th, 2016. Welcome to Sports Fusion News. I'm the host, Alex Hughes. Before we have Karen Tararache, who is a News Channel 13 anchor and reporter on my show today, I just want to send my condolences to the Craig Sager family. He passed away yesterday at the age of 65, and he was an icon in this industry of journalism. And I looked up to him in the career. He was a tremendous basketball reporter. And I send my deepest condolences and prayers to his family and friends. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I am joined right now by Karen Tararache, who is an anchor and reporter at News Channel 13. So, Karen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I was hoping to be close to work by this point, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm still driving, but I have my headphones on and be completely safe. Okay. Everything's good. I'm enjoying the holiday season, the weather, of course. You know, we wish it was a little warmer, but I'll take it. Hey, it's upstate New York. Get used to this kind of thing.
Yeah, so Karen, some viewers may not know this, but you actually went to Moscow to study the career of arts, right?
I did, yeah. I studied at the Moscow Art Theater for 4 years. That was my college. I chose to move to Russia, even though I am not Russian. I don't have any relatives who are, but you know, the goal at the time for me was to pursue a profession in acting and theater. Wow. And that was the best place to do it. Moscow Art Theater, you know, the birthplace of Stanislavski, very, very talented people that have come through those doors. And I got to work with some incredible directors and teachers and learn from really masters of Russian art. And so it was an incredible 4 years. But again, it conditioned me to deal with the cold, sub-zero temperatures. While I was there, we experienced negative 40 degree, frost. And I was out in the street after the time that I spent while I was in school. I went back to Russia to work there for a year. And I got to experience that cold firsthand, standing out on the streets with people who protested in negative 40 degree weather. And it was cold. I mean, you start to lose your sense of speaking, and your mouth doesn't really work the way you kind of want it to, and it's pretty bad. But Moscow was an incredible time. My first day of school actually was 9/11.
Oh wow!
So that certainly is something that I will never forget, having experienced that on a completely different side of the world, with news coming from Russian media outlets rather than back at home in New York. So yeah, it was terrifying for us that first day of school, but you know, as time goes on and as things happen, both bad and good, I look back on the experience fondly. I still have a lot of friends in Moscow, and I miss the people there. I miss the arts, the theater community. It was a wonderful time.
That's great. So at least it's, you know, it's not negative 40 here in upstate New York, so that I guess that's a plus, right?
Yeah, that's certainly good. It's not negative 40 now. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. Yeah, you know, it comes with the territory. If you're going to live on the Northeast, you got to expect it. So as reporters, when we're asked to go out and cover snow stories, and, you know, you might get the occasional eye roll, but it is what it is. These are the things people are dealing with up here, you know, frozen pipes and burst water mains, and that affects people's lives. And that's just what we deal with. We don't have, you know, beautiful temperatures like in Florida, and we're not dealing with Zika, and those aren't our local issues. So, hey, I'm okay with it. If that's what I got to do, I'm good with it.
Now, Karen, I have to ask you, I know Russia has been in the news headlines this past election almost every day. And now with the claimed possibilities of hackings or help turn the election one way or the other, should the Electoral College be pushed back their vote until we have more information? I know a lot of Democrats have been trying to sign petitions to possibly push back the Electoral College vote, which they vote on Monday, the 19th. So what do you think about this whole situation right now?
You know, I'm in a tough position because I had the experience of living in Russia and working for a government-owned news agency. But having said that, while I was in Russia, my time in Russia today, I was never, you know, spoon-fed things to say. It was completely, my time as a journalist was my time as a journalist. We reported both sides of things. So having said that, I'm not there now. I do speak to some of my friends there, and, you know, leading up to today's events, about everything that's gone on, sanctions that were imposed on Russia not too long ago, things of that nature. So I don't want to comment particularly one way or the other. Should the Electoral College look into it? Should they not? I think that our country, the democracy it is, the people have voted one way or the other, whether or not you agree with it or not. It is what it is. Having said that, there are these allegations of, Russia having really pushed forward the hackings of emails. Is that going to change the vote? I doubt it. I think that the outcome is what it is. President-elect Trump will go on to serve. If it does, wow, I mean, we're already looking at history in the making with the outcome of the election. Everybody was shocked by it. But I think when you look at the votes and how the states really spoke out, that, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And my time in Moscow, being there as an American and having to report on world news and geopolitical climate certainly opened my eyes to everybody is kind of slanted. Mm-hmm. And it's tough for, I think, media outlets and organizations and journalists on a personal level to kind of, we have to keep in mind that we are the mouthpiece and we have to report the facts. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very tough because not everybody, that gets in the way sometimes with your personal feelings. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be very careful about what we say and what we do. But certainly I do think an investigation, further into the allegations needs to be had. I think on both ends, there are many, many unanswered questions. Mm-hmm. And sure, I'd love to know the outcome of it. But, as far as what's going to happen and, who's to blame and all of that, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm just in a state of confusion as much as anybody else is mm-hmm. with regard to all of that.
Mm-hmm. Now, there also has been some positions going around about the electoral vote as well, trying to persuade the voters that are actually going to be voting on mm-hmm. Monday to vote against what their state won, and possibly right. convincing over 36 the electoral voters to vote opposite and go against the possible voting for Trump. If this did happen, has this ever happened in the past? And if this did happen, would this threat the democracy of the United States of America?
I don't. You'll have to forgive me. I don't believe it has ever happened. I think it may have come close, but okay. I don't want to be misquoted. I don't remember what presidency that was. But no, as far as my memory serves, I don't think that has ever happened. Can it happen? Sure. Do I think it will happen? No. I find it interesting, Michelle Obama, the First Lady, had an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and she said that, pretty much she feels like this is what not having hope feels like, that, the American democracy is being threatened at the moment. And for as much as I respect the First Lady and agree with many of the things that she has said and done in office, mm-hmm. I don't agree with that statement. I don't think that the American people aren't hopeful. I think we certainly are in a state of what's going to happen. But look, we were in that state of what's going to happen when President Obama was elected 8 years ago. I think it's still, it's a different time now. We see social media. We see President-elect Trump, taking to Twitter rather than, using the so-called norm of how news should be disseminated. But I disagree. I think that we are hopeful as a people. I think that that's just in our human nature to push on and to persevere, and that's what makes our country so great. So, no, I don't think that our democracy is threatened in any way. I think, as a result of the election, people have spoken, and as I said, whether or not you agree with it, unfortunately or fortunately, that is where we are. The steps moving forward, I think that's going to say a lot about our country, and I'm just hopeful that for the sake of all of America and for the sake of our position in the rest of the world, that we do succeed. I don't know what President-elect Trump is going to do, but, I really hope that it's not going to be terrible because, I mean, who wants us to fail?
Right.
Nobody wants us to fail, at least not on this side of the world. So, I'm hopeful that the people of America will just, for as much anger and animosity there is, I think there's just as much love, and I think that we can find the peace within ourselves and in our government to hopefully, push on and move on.
Okay, Karen, we'll switch gears now and talk a little about your starting on News Channel 13. It's been 5 months already. I remember your first night because I always watch News Channel 13 before I watch The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and I have to say, it seems like there's a great chemistry between you and Jim Cabrick.
Yeah, there is. Jim is really wonderful. His wife Susan. I mean, his whole family. They're such great people. And I don't remember if it was my first night. I think it might have been. They organized somehow. As you know, Jimmy Fallon is a St. Rose grad and loves Albany. And so he was able to give me a shout out and kind of congratulated me and welcomed me to the team on my first night. And I nearly fell off my seat. I could not believe that was happening. He also gave a shout out to Albany, and that was just so cool. Everybody at News Channel 13, I mean, not only in front of the camera, behind the scenes, has just been so welcoming and so supportive of my transition from Time Warner Cable News, because I was there for 3.5 years. So I already knew all of these people coming into it. I didn't know Jim as well, but for the most part, I knew all of the reporters, and it was so nice to just have that easy sort of like coming into a family. And I do feel like I'm, a very small part of the family, but I can't believe it's been 5 months, and it has flown by. I told you that before we started the show, and I hope that the rest of my time will continue as swimmingly.
Yeah. So I had a coworker on, Benita Zahn and Ben Amy, on my show earlier this week, and I asked them to end out the interview, your most embarrassing moment on live television.
Oh boy, I don't know if I can do that. I've had a few, I'll be honest. We're human, we make mistakes, and unfortunately, as reporters, we have to sort of split our attention to many points. We have everything that's going on around us. We have facts to remember. We have to also kind of look good while we're doing it and sound, professional. So the one that comes to mind, I guess, the most embarrassing was my time when I first started. After I graduated from theater and the arts, I decided to enter broadcast journalism through traffic reporting. I started as a traffic reporter, and that was my first sort of like look into the world of broadcast journalism. And at the time, I was reporting, I believe it was in Long Island at News 12, Long Island Cablevision Network, and I was referring to the busy roads, and there's so many different traffic cameras that you use, and I pulled up a traffic camera shot, and instead of saying, and we're taking a look at this shot of whatever road I was looking at, I said a different word, which I don't know if I can actually say on the show, but we were looking at this poop of, and I immediately turned deep red. The letterman luckily kind of, picked it up and said, that's all right. That's what all of us Long Islanders call it. But that was mortifying. And it's just a slip of the tongue. But, I was still very new in the business. I think this was 8 years ago. And I thought I was never going to recover from that experience. I'm very careful now when I know that there's a word that might slip me up in that way. I have to slowly go through, pronunciations, because that would just be terrible. I think we would probably get fined if I was to have a slip up like that at Channel 13.
Well, hopefully that never happens ever again, right?
Yes, let's hope never again. And if it does, let's hope the consequences aren't as severe.
Okay, Karen, I want to say thank you for taking the time to come on my show, and hope to have you on again in the future.
Thanks so much, Alex, and I really appreciate what you're doing, and I've watched a couple of your shows, and I think you're doing a wonderful job.
And where can the Feuzion find you out on social media, and to follow you on Twitter and Facebook, to follow along and read your stories?
Sounds good. Everybody can find me on Twitter. That's Karen Tararache, I believe, if you can spell it. There's a lot of R.A.s. I am also on Instagram under the same name, and my last name is Tararache. What else? Where else is there? I mean, you can find me. You want to send me an email, you can send me an email to ktarache@WNYT. I welcome story ideas. Let me hear from you. What do you got?
Okay, Karen, thanks you for coming on my show today.
All right, thanks, Alex. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you, Fuse Nation, for watching this brand new Sports Fusion news episode. I'll be back next week. Huge week of shows. Right? There's only, what, 9 days till Christmas? Wow. Santa's coming to town. Okay. Fuse Nation, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter at AlexFuse. Also, please like this video. Comment below what you thought. Comment below about President-elect Trump. If you ever heard his name, he's going to be the future, well, President-elect is elected for the president. They're voting on Monday. We'll see what happens. And comment below what you thought about this video. Subscribe. Always be a subscriber. Let's get to 500 subscribers. Okay, Fuse Nation, I will see you on Monday. Be nice to one another out there.